This is something you guys have been begging me to do for ages. It took a while, but I finally tracked down 3 real stories that happened during school lockdowns. The first one takes place on what started as a completely normal, almost boring Friday afternoon in calculus class. It was 7th period, the week was nearly over, and spring break was right around the corner. Everyone was restless, counting down the minutes. Luckily, we didn't have a test like some of my friends did in other classes. Our teacher, who was known for being super laid back, decided to kill time by playing games with us on Sporkle.com. We were halfway through a brand logo quiz, and I still remember the exact moment it happened. Right after my friend correctly guessed Adidas, the intercom crackled to life. The dean's voice came on, but this wasn't the calm, routine tone we were used to. He sounded panicked, frantic as he announced, "This is not a drill, go into lockdown." A chill shot through me, goosebumps running up my arms. Even our usually unshakable teacher looked rattled. He quickly switched off the lights and motioned for us to huddle in the back corner of the room. For 2 tense minutes, we sat in absolute silence. Then, the faint buzzing from a panel in the back of the room suddenly stopped. The school had cut the power. We exchanged uneasy glances. Whatever was going on, it was serious. A few minutes later, the silence was broken by a blood-curdling scream echoing down the hallway. 2 girls in our class started crying, which only made the rest of us more terrified. The screaming grew louder, closer, until we heard violent banging on lockers. Through the noise, a man's voice bellowed, "I'll kill all of you." That was the moment I realized I might actually die. Our teacher shushed us, but the only thing louder than the silence was the pounding of my own heartbeat as we looked at each other, reading the fear in everyone's faces. The pounding shifted from the lockers to our classroom door. That's when one of the crying girls suddenly screamed, "No!" The banging only grew louder, more violent, as the man outside shouted, "Open up!" Now 2 girls were sobbing out loud, their cries filling the dark, silent room between each slam against the door. It felt like forever, like time had slowed to a crawl, but eventually the pounding stopped. The man's voice faded as he moved down the hall, still screaming like someone completely unhinged, until his words became distant echoes, and then nothing at all. Maybe 10 minutes passed before the dean's voice returned over the loudspeaker, though to us, it felt more like half an hour. What he said next was shocking, because he almost never explained lockdowns while they were happening. Apparently, a mentally unstable man had entered the building and attacked the woman working at the front desk. She'd fled the school, screaming, and no one knew if he was armed. This was back before we had security cameras or even proper security staff, so the place was practically wide open. The staff had searched every hallway and classroom, but couldn't find him. The dean instructed teachers to resume lessons but keep doors locked and not let anyone leave under any circumstances. The most unsettling part came later. One of the night shift janitors found the man sleeping in a storage closet near the back of the school, and according to rumors that spread quickly among students, sticking out of his pocket was a .44 Magnum. The janitor must have startled him, maybe left the closet door open, because by the time police arrived, the man was gone. As far as I know, no one in my class ever found out if he was caught. I just hope, wherever he is now, he's getting the help he desperately needs. My school has 2 separate lunch periods. The first is for all 6th graders and part of the 7th grade class. The second lunch is for the rest of the 7th graders and all the 8th graders. The lockdown happened in early October, on an overcast, rainy day. It was during first lunch period when I suddenly heard 4 loud booms. At first I assumed it was thunder, but the entire lunch crowd started screaming. I figured they were just overreacting until campus security stormed in, shouting for everyone to get into the multi-purpose room. Kids who were in the lunch line were forced to throw away their food and move inside. My friends and I joined the flood of students being herded into the big room. Our multi-purpose room is massive, and the entire back wall is made of see-through glass. As soon as we got in, security began pulling the curtains shut over it. Adults stood guard at every exit, making sure no one left. My friend Eric, along with most of us, was dying to know what was going on. He walked over to one of the adults to ask. When he came back, his face was serious. "You know those houses right across from TMS?" he asked me. "Yeah," I said. "Well," he continued, "there's this mentally unstable guy who barricaded himself in his house. He's threatening to kill himself and shoot any cops that come if he's evicted. He was also spotted walking around outside the school, watching kids in this really creepy way." Then came the worst part. Eric said the man was a registered sex offender. We ended up stuck in that multi-purpose room for over an hour to full periods before things were declared safe. Teachers escorted us back to our classrooms, one group at a time. Later, I learned something even more disturbing. The man lived right next to my friend Brandy. She told me that the previous Halloween she saw him at his window, cutting his own arm. Then, using his blood, he scrawled on the glass, "Don't come here or I'll kill you." Back then, everyone including Brandy thought it was just some twisted Halloween decoration. But after this incident, we knew it was real. And we were just thankful he never made it onto school grounds. I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and recently landed a job at my old high school as a kind of computer intern. My office is in the basement, cluttered and messy in most parts, but with one small, surprisingly nice 3-person workspace tucked away in the back. We've got 3 big desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, blissfully cool air conditioning, a rare luxury in the school, and all the servers and tech equipment we could possibly need. I got the job thanks to 3 of my former computer teachers, who didn't just like me, they genuinely considered me a friend. They pulled strings to get me in. Everything had been going great, until a few weeks ago. That day, my 2 co-workers, Dave and Gary, were upstairs working, leaving me alone in the office. I was halfway through a sandwich during my lunch break when my phone rang. It was one of the women from the front office, her voice low and urgent. "The school's on lockdown. Someone possibly armed is in the building. The office didn't have a real door, just a wide opening, and the basement's main door didn't even have a working lock." The best I could do was switch off the lights and my monitor. I kept my phone on the desk, sending frantic texts to Dave and Gary, but neither replied. For about 20 minutes, I sat in the dark, playing games on my phone, waiting for the call to say the lockdown was over. I couldn't hear anything from upstairs, and I wasn't allowed to make calls. Then, the basement door creaked open. The sound echoed through the empty space, straight into my office. Someone came running down the stairs. The footsteps got closer, headed right for me. I slid my chair back and ducked under my desk, heart pounding. Whoever it was stepped into the office, but didn't turn on the lights. Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. I was terrified that even the sound of my breathing would give me away. Then my phone dinged. The chime cut through the silence like a blade. My whole body tensed. Footsteps moved toward me. I panicked. I bolted from under the desk, blurting out, "Please don't kill me." A man in a red plaid button-up jeans and a black and red cap grabbed my arm and pulled me up. "It's okay," he said calmly. "I'm just hiding down here with you." "What's going on up there?" I whispered. He didn't answer my question. Instead, he asked, "Is there an exit down here?" I pointed toward the far side of the basement, but hesitated. "Who are you?" I asked. I looked up at the man. He was wearing exactly what Dave had described. He noticed my expression. Panic surged through me. I turned and sprinted for the stairs. A gunshot exploded behind me, the bullet ricocheting off something metal. By some miracle, it missed. I flew up the steps, bursting into the upper level where police were stationed at every exit, including the basement door. They caught him the moment he emerged. The best news, Mr. Buckley survived the gunshot. As for why the man attacked him, no one ever got a clear answer. We only knew they'd had some sort of bad blood, but nothing that could ever justify what happened. And to this day, the echo of that gunshot still rings in my ears.